The Roaring '20s and the economic boom that accompanied it were coming to a close. By September and early October 1929, stock prices, which had reached great highs during the bull market, began to decline. There were false expectations. Investors began to lose confidence in the market, and the crisis of confidence led to a selling panic, and then the inevitable happened.
1929, Black Tuesday. The New York Stock Exchange is in a panic. Frantic investors have scrambled to unload their stocks at any price. Everyone wants to sell. No one wants to buy. Suddenly, even the most gilt-edged securities are practically valueless.
Black Tuesday 1929 was actually the climax of the most difficult week Wall Street had ever seen. On October 24th, there had been almost a free fall in the morning. The bankers and the big men on Wall Street rallied and started buying, and it seemed like a heroic rescue of the market. Then on Monday, it was a devastating day, the worst day in the market ever. So then Black Tuesday dawned with people just almost immobilized with fear.
The tremendous crowds which you see gathered outside the stock exchange are due to the greatest crash in the history of the New York Stock Exchange in market prices.
People who were buying on margin, essentially paying only 10 to 20% of the total cost for a stock while borrowing the rest, were wiped out when they were called to pay back those loans. By 1933, almost half of America's banks had failed. Unemployment rose to 25%. The Great Depression had set in.
So it was the opening act in what became a horrific 2.5-year period in the market. People had lost jobs and couldn't buy. People were afraid of losing jobs and were afraid to buy. And business was afraid of expanding because nobody was buying.
The economy was in a free fall. The aftermath of the stock market crash and the Great Depression would take its toll. Soup lines and unemployment lines became commonplace. Fear and depression were everywhere.
Finally, I think there was a psychological impact of Black Tuesday and the days that had preceded it that cannot be underestimated. While it's true that only a few people participated in the stock market, it had become a spectator sport for the entire nation. So the devastation on Black Tuesday wiped out the fantasies of an entire nation, the fantasy that you could get rich quickly by investing in stocks, and more importantly, the fantasy that there were big men, powerful bankers and brokers who could somehow intervene in the financial system and rescue the stock market.
A series of financial reforms by newly elected President Franklin D. Roosevelt would help the economy improve. But it was actually economic activity fueled by World War II that eventually helped end the Great Depression.